What is up, everybody? This is James Butler, the Boxing Source, and we are live on YouTube. And wanted to, go through a couple of topics that have been, buzzing about in the sport of boxing over the course of the past few days. Um, and that wanted to see if I could get people to join in on the discussion. So if you're open to talk about the topics that are going to be brought up here in this particular discussion, you can go on the link that is shown here, and you'll be able to see if we'll get you on to have your thoughts about these topics. That will be on the Boxing Source YouTube channel. Um, so there have been a few things that have been talked about. Talked about a few things on the channel in reference to the likes of Errol Spence, um, and what he was talking about for his fight with Sean Porter. But we will kind of like talk about his potential matchup with Terence Crawford in this particular live telecast. We'll also talk about Canelo Golovkin 3 with the comments of one trainer, and also something that was made by a promoter reference to that particular fight. We'll also get into the heavyweight division and pretty much the top part of the heavyweight division, and the story that it came out pretty much around 24 hours ago in reference to a potential fight being put together. So I'm going to basically break that down and go through a few things as far as like my thoughts in reference to that. So I'm trying to see if one person is able to get on here live to talk about that particular topic with the heavyweight division, because he'll have his thoughts in reference to that, and of course I will have thoughts in reference to it. So I'll be able to break that down. Um, one thing that I had kind of like talked about over the past couple of days is the whole thing in reference to the welterweight division, when you have Errol Spence Jr. and a potential fight between him and Terence Crawford. Of course, that is like the biggest fight that could be made in the welterweight division, and both fighters know this, and they've known it ever since Terence Crawford came up from the super lightweight division as the former undisputed super lightweight champion, to come up to welterweight and then get a belt at welterweight. Now, basically once that happened, uh, that's when the talk started to come up in reference to a potential fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. But it had like a specific direction for Errol Spence Jr. And with Terence Crawford, that was basically a direction that they wanted to go as far as like with him. And for making that particular fight, pretty much all parties knew what the basic plan was for that particular fight. That had been established back in the tail end of 2018. So the plan was to, go forward with those things. And then 2019 came about, and you saw Errol Spence Jr. Fight Mikey Garcia, and then after that have his unification bout with Sean Porter, and was able to win that fight. And then you had the car accident that put him on the shelf for a good amount of months. But at that particular time, there was a plan for him to fight Danny Garcia around January, and then after that fight, he would go up against Manny Pacquiao for the WBC, IBF, and WBA welterweight titles If he gets that win, then you have him with 3 titles, Crawford with the WBO title, and they would fight the undisputed welterweight championship. So with the whole thing with Errol Spence's accident and the whole thing with this COVID-19 that delays those particular plans for the time being. So, with that being said, that's kind of what what we got going on right now in reference to that particular topic. So, um, even though you have this thing where Terence Crawford did kind of say that the fight between him and Spence isn't hard to make, and it said like he said it's easy to say if you want to fight somebody in a recent interview, but signing that contract and actually getting in the ring with somebody is a whole different ball game. When someone say they want to fight me, I just take it for what it is until it actually happens. This is what Terence Crawford recently kind of said. Um, and the thing about it is that we got, you know, in a ambidextrous fighter in the ring, and you have like various fighters that are talking about, hey, I want to fight Terence Crawford, I want to do this, I want to do that. But one thing that is, pretty much a part of it is that those particular fighters, like there are certain fighters within there that kind of, say that they want to fight Terence Crawford, but these guys have been former world champions that want to face Terence Crawford now. 2 guys that we're talking about is Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Both of those guys did lose their belts last year. And so, with that, they kind of, had the thing where they ended up, fighting and losing last year as, Keith Thurman fought Manny Pacquiao and lost to Manny Pacquiao. And then, of course, Sean Porter had this fight with Errol Spence. That was, for me, my favorite fight of the year was Spence versus Porter, with Errol Spence getting the decision win. And now it's like what's next for those guys, like the likes of Keith Thurman, former champ, and Sean Porter, former champ. And now it seems like they're trying to get the biggest fights out possible. There in the welterweight division, and with Errol Spence, kind of like moving on and moving forward. That leaves the thing with Sean Porter, who did lose to Keith Thurman at one point. I still say that he won that fight. And now is looking for an opponent. It seems like after that particular fight with Errol Spence Jr., they've kind of had the thing where Porter has been able to get a lot more respect as a fighter after that fight with Errol Spence. And now with him having an added interest, it seems like they want to see what he could do against other guys that are at the upper echelon of the welterweight division. But he's already fought Keith Thurman, he's already fought Danny Garcia, he's fought Yordenis Ugas, and he fought Errol Spence. So there really isn't that much out there left for Sean Porter within that welterweight division, other than for him to go ahead and have one fight against Terence Crawford. Now, with that being said, it would be something else for Terence Crawford to actually have that particular fight, because that would be, the best fight that he could probably have there in the welterweight division up to this particular point. So, you know, if they possibly have the fight between Terence Crawford and Sean Porter, that would, bring in a lot of interest because it's like, okay, let's see if Sean Porter would be able to, hang with Terence Crawford, as Terence Crawford is being regarded by a good number of people as one of the top pound for pound fighters in the sport. Um, and there's some people on the other side that may say that Sean Porter's size and style may be a little bit too much for Terence Crawford. I don't know, but it still depends on if they want to actually go ahead and make the fight. Now, Bob Arum has shown a little bit of interest in that particular fight, and they had this thing here with boxing scene with Bob Arum, and Bob Arum was saying, "I'm happy that Sean and Terrence want to sit and talk about the fight, but that's the first step. The second step is how in the hell do you afford the fight, and how do you put it on?" Well, it looks like he's talking about how things are gonna carry itself due to the COVID-19 um, pandemic, and how people are taking precautions, and how sporting events will be handled from this particular point forward. Now, we did have an event over in Nicaragua, you know, um, where you had the thing over at Alexis Aguero Gymnasium, where they had the crowd over there in mask, and the fighters were able to have their fight there. So, hold on a second. Let me see here. Well, yeah, yeah. Let me, yeah, man. Hey, let's see. What I said. Let's see what Bob Arum also said. He said, "Obviously, I don't do the fighting. Terrence does. I like Sean Porter, but he's not my fighter. If Terrence wants to do that fight, I'll do my best to see it happen. But again, wanting a fight, even though both fighters want it, is a question of who's gonna pay for it. And that's a whole big problem. You certainly couldn't do that fight without an audience." All right, let's see here if brother wants to come in here and speak with this here. So I got brother Terrell on here real quick. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? Just bored out of my mind. I need a quick, long fix for sports. I'll get sports anywhere I can: hockey, badminton, volleyball, college sports.
Marbles.
I need to have live sports in a bad way.
I feel you. Now, I think I got someone else coming on here, so I want to bring in the president of the Deontay Wilder fan club, and also just found out. It looks like he kind of got cut off there. I was gonna give him an intro, and then by the time I did that, he ended up getting disconnected. Oh well, too bad. Like you said, man, live sports, man, we need it, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, you already know, man. It's like, of course, we build our lives around sports. We build our schedules around sports, whether it be fantasy football, fantasy basketball, sports betting. I mean, just sports in general. Our life revolves around sports. People. I want to use the word idolize, but people put their teams, individual players.
Yeah,
I mean, just so much they can go on. The stats, history, prospects in every single sport. It matters. It's relevant in everyday life. And now, this is what going on. What pretty much 2 months with no live sporting events. No
hmm
sport, no boxing since the end of the middle of March, something like that.
right.
And it's like just some highlights and stuff like that, and they have nothing.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
ain't got nothing for you. So I mean, one I'm like Showtime, ESPN, uh, run old fights on their schedule, pretty much on the weekends. Even you see stuff on reruns on FX, FS1, things like that. So that's enjoyable
Yeah.
to have that content. But really, just the absence of live boxing and just sports in general, it just goes to show you how much it affects your other people's world, and even the dimension of revenue loss, things like that. The prospect of people fighting by themselves, in
Yeah.
the ring with no one. I mean, some people want to do it, some people don't want to do it, but at the same time, when you look at the business side, right? How can you actually have a big fight and you don't have that live gate feed coming in where there's no audience there? So, I mean, a network is only going to pay for so much, right? And at the same time, how can you have a rematch with someone and have someone step aside?
Wait. Hold on. Now, before I go into that, let me try this again and see if I could have on the president of the Deontay Wilder fan club and also the president of the Clarissa Shields fan club, Mr. Matthew Brown. What's going on?
Bomb Squad! I'm sorry, it's been a
Oh
while.
man.
Nah,
H
I
Money,
had
what's
to
good,
leave when
man? Check it in. What's up?
I had to leave when I signed in because
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I was hearing like robotic sounds. It just turns out that your boy got a terrible connection, so it's not my phone. So I just wanted to make
Man.
sure it
Hey,
wasn't me.
listen, I don't know, man. He might be out there in the woods over
I
in
don't know
Florida or
where he
something
at.
like that, man. Yo,
I don't know where he
my
at.
boy, my boy got that. My boy got that house with like
I ain't got
5 bedrooms and all that type of stuff, man.
Oh man, listen. I know I came on to talk about boxing, but I just got hit with the news that allegedly Kim Jong Un has resurfaced. So I was that's why I was a little bit late coming in. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I was
Yeah,
like,
man, I saw
Machiavelli
that.
lives.
Yep.
Machiavelli lives. I was like, yo, this
Yeah,
what was
motherfucker
it?
man.
really came
What
back
was
from the
the
dead.
video? What was the video? What?
They don't have no footage, no video. They say he went to a ceremony, cut a ribbon. He was chilling, allegedly. I don't know.
Man, that's all. I think it's all propaganda. I'm not saying the dude is dead, but I think the dude is probably seriously laid up, and they just throwing all these smoke signals out to throw these world leaders out to tell them still alive. I don't believe it.
Well, from here on now,
Yeah.
from here now, he's gonna be known forever by me as the Asian Tupac because he came back from the dead. Tupac lives, Machiavelli lives.
Yeah, back in Liz, Kid lives, man.
yo,
Yeah.
yo, he rose like Jesus. like this was like the North Korean Easter. They said he was dead. He
What
was
is
dead
it?
a
The
few
third
days.
day or something? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
yo,
what's
it's crazy.
going on? What you guys been covering so far?
But I mean, I talked about the whole thing with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence and how that has been going on back and forth, and then the recent interest about a fight between Terence Crawford and Sean Porter, and how
What
like
interest? There's no
well.
interest.
Well, Bob Arum is like, well, maybe we could have a possible fight between the two. If they both want it, then let's see how things go, and we'll have the fight going on. But I mean, we got this whole thing with the coronavirus, and so how are we gonna put on this fight if there's gonna be no fans? We need fans in there to see the fight. It's just that simple.
Yeah, it seems simple, but my whole thing is this. I'm hearing that there are some sites willing to pay site fees. Also, what just came down out in the state of Florida is that they are going to allow spectators at sporting events at 25% capacity, and that's going to be starting soon, actually. So I don't see why the fight couldn't take place on some
Hmm.
nation Native American reservation or even in Florida amongst some fans. To me, it just sounds like Bob Arum is not interested in making the fight because he does not believe in the revenue. I think you went dead, JR.
I'm in.
As soon as we mentioned Kim Jong Un,
Nah, I'm all
oh,
in.
there we go. I thought Kim Jong cut you off, man.
Nah, man,
Okay,
it was
but
probably your boy Mark,
what are your
but I'm
thoughts
gonna
on Bob
go.
Arum not being too excited about
Well, I mean, we'll see. You
it?
know, we'll see about all that because you're talking about the whole thing in Florida. Well, I mean, you had last week where they opened the beaches over in Florida, so you know
Yeah.
what? Terrell was out there at Clearwater Beach chilling.
Yeah, in my tan on all that, man. Definitely.
Yeah,
But
so I mean, if you have those,
Terrell.
oh, here we go, man.
His name is Terrell. His name is Terrell.
anyway, hey, real quick. So even if we did have a fight here in Florida, right? Even if there's a major fight in Florida, say for example, Crawford Pacquiao, pay-per-view. How does that work with live gates going to be a lot less? So in that sense, will purses be less also? And also, do you anticipate having a small amount of pay-per-views as people may not want to spend money on buying a fight like that? What do you guys think?
Well, here's the thing. Um, what we know about the American public is they are starved for content. They are starved for sports. The Jordan documentary, and mind you, Michael Jordan's been retired, what, like almost 20 years now, something like that.
Yeah,
So the Jordan documentary has been averaging 10 million viewers between the live and the DVR numbers, averaging 10 million viewers. So you're telling me that a live sporting event featuring Manny Pacquiao, because not Terence Crawford. To be honest with you, Terence Crawford, he does not move the needle. He's a great fighter, but he doesn't move the needle commercially. But you're
right.
telling me that a live sporting event with Manny Pacquiao is not going to generate a good amount of pay-per-view buys? I would say so.
It would. Yeah. Well,
It would.
he's a veteran in the game in regards to pay-per-view numbers. We know that. All these other kids behind him, Spence, whoever else you can name, are still up and coming in regards to generating that type of interest. Spence is probably the next one that has a bigger base out of anyone in the lower classes. I'm sure you guys would agree.
Well, let me.
Um,
Uh,
Well,
yeah.
because keep in mind, Spence had a pay-per-view with Bonds, I was, and also maybe one with Lomachenko. I don't think he's been on pay-per-view. Tank has not been on pay-per-view. Scheduled to go on one this year. We know that. I'm trying to think of other names off at welterweight. I don't think no one has been on pay-per-view and like the headline. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, let's see
well,
what Keith Thurman does when he gets back.
yeah, that's
Well,
going to be interesting too. I kind of brought up Keith Thurman as one of those welterweights. See, like, what would this next fight be? I mean, he said like right after his fight with Manny Pacquiao that he wants to run it again.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure if they really are going to go forward with that. And when you talk about Manny Pacquiao, I mean, here it is. It's going to be like over. It's going to be at least 13, 14 months before he steps in the ring if he fights this year. So, with that being said, if you talk about Manny Pacquiao being the draw that he is, wouldn't somebody the likes of an Errol Spence Jr. want to take advantage of that? Or is it to the point where they were talking about his teeth not really being all there, and him not really going into full training yet, that it might still be another good 6 or 7 months before he could step in the ring?
Nah, he's fine. Come on, he's fine.
Man, you saw that? You saw his thing there on Showtime with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Man, he looked like he was 190 pounds in that interview. I'm like, man, like,
Listen, he said he's down to 160. Okay,
yeah,
everybody calm down.
yeah. He said
He's
160. He said, "Yo," he said that quarantine life making him eat right, man. As he
yeah.
said, he was like at 189 before his fight with Sean Porter. I was like, good gracious. Like that's something there. But yo, since you on Matt, we're gonna go into the topic at hand. About the reports that was coming down yesterday. I mean I seen it from Mike, Mr. Mike. Uh, but go ahead and bring up that topic.
Well, allegedly, because I don't believe any of it, allegedly talks and negotiations were underway for the undisputed heavyweight title fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Now, the issue with that obviously is Tyson Fury is scheduled to fight Deontay Wilder sometime in October in a rematch of their second fight. And then you have Anthony Joshua, who was scheduled to fight Kubrat Pulev. So, in order for Fury and Joshua to get it on, you would have to have Pulev and Wilder step aside in order to make that fight happen. And I just don't see that happening at all.
Now, well, I didn't see it happening at all. Regardless, now there have been talks in reference to rumors for Deontay Wilder because he had his talk on the PBC podcast where he said from the second fight with him and Tyson Fury that he had an injury. And so after like having surgery and things like that, that he couldn't really do much as far as like full contact until the end of May. So, with that being said, you have to go from after being cleared and then seeing what he could do as far as like, overall workouts, and then from workouts to like gym work to see if he would be actually ready for a fight on October 3rd. But even with that and the whole thing about having crowds and, a full crowd, because the second fight had 17.5 million gate. So they're not going to try to risk losing a potential $17.5 million gate for the third fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to a potential undisputed heavyweight championship fight, this reminds me of 2014 when you had Vladimir Klitschko with 3 of the major belts and Vermont Stavern winning the
You
WBC
love
championship
Stavern. You bring
over
Stavern
Chris
up
Arreola.
every time.
Right? Now, at that particular point, there was rumors about Klitschko fighting Stavern for the undisputed championship. And that idea was brought up to Deontay Wilder, who at the time was the mandatory for the WBC championship. And he said, there ain't no step aside. If there's gonna be a step aside, you're gonna have to pull out like at least 10 million for me to step aside. Other than that, there's no stepping aside. Now here, 2020, where you have Deontay Wilder who earned up to $25 million on February 22nd.
Not bad at all.
So you're telling me that he will step aside for an undisputed heavyweight championship fight to happen between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua? Nope, he's not going to do that, especially when it deals with Anthony Joshua. That ain't going to happen.
Hey, listen. I know how you can get Deontay Wilder to step aside. I know how much money it's going to take.
A lot.
I know how much money it's going to take.
Can you guess what I'm going to say, JR?
50 million.
50 million. 50 million, goddammit. Oh, the irony.
Oh God.
Oh, the irony. It's gonna take. He's gonna need 50 million
And,
in
re-
the
and real,
bag. 50 million
real
in the
quick.
bag.
So how much would the total revenue be for a game between Fury Joshua, the gate, and pay-per-view? How much would that be?
Well, with one of the
I don't
rumors
think it'll
that
be
was
huge,
out,
to be honest with you.
yeah, with the rumors that was out as far as like overall site fees for that particular fight, they were gonna put up a good, very good amount of money in order to host that fight.
I don't believe none of that. I don't believe none of that.
Well, why not? If Saudi Arabia
Because
pulled out Joshua Ruiz, they definitely want to have the biggest fight between first the
yeah,
unified heavyweight championship between Fury and Joshua. They would love to have that, and they would definitely, I think, come out of their pockets. And why do
okay.
we?
Let me ask you a question. What's the purpose of a country or an entity paying site fees to promoters and fighters?
Well, it hosts all that goes towards the purse, and
Uh-huh.
aside from that, they just want that because they want to be in the fight business. They want to have
Yeah, but what's gonna be missing? The fans.
gate.
The fans are gonna be missing.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you're gonna have someone willing to pay a huge site fee to
Yep.
have a fight in an empty arena?
For
I
that,
don't believe that.
Yep.
I don't believe that.
Well, here's the thing: empty arena or partially filled arena, right? All of us. Well, I know that I was shocked that the rematch for Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz ended up in Saudi Arabia. Like nobody really thought that particular fight would end up in Saudi Arabia. So the thing is, when it comes to this particular fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, that's something that a lot of people would be interested in seeing, whether they have to go there or whether they have to watch it. And while they've been talking about that potential fight for about since Tyson Fury came back, fact of the matter is, like, there's a very high chance that that fight is not going to be in the UK. And I've talked about it earlier when it comes to this particular fight because of Tyson Fury's contract with Top Rank, where he basically has to fight in the US for the duration of his Top Rank contract. So he still has what, 2 or 3 fights left on that
He
contract?
doesn't have to fight in the US.
Well, he doesn't have to fight in the US, but I mean, the thing is like right now, when it comes to what has it been? This fight against Wilder in February, and then the scheduled one in October. Both of them, are in Las Vegas. So it's
Yeah,
not like they're
but
gonna say,
his contract is just they have to get the broadcast rights to it in the US. He doesn't have to fight in the US. They can broadcast it abroad.
"Oh, you
It's
mean they
not
can
it's
host it
not
abroad?" But we
yeah, they
haven't
go
seen like Tyson Fury say, "Hey, listen here, you need to have the fights over in the UK with all my fans in the UK." You know what I mean? Like
who's the
you big dosser. Hold on. What you were saying, Terrell?
who's the A side? Fury Joshua.
Joshua.
You agree with that, Matt?
No, I didn't hear what you said.
Who's the A side?
With Fury and Joshua?
Yeah.
Joshua.
Okay. I thought maybe you would have an argument that Fury could be the A side. Then he's the hotter fighter, top rank.
It can't be because
No.
they're not going to fight in the US. So whatever Fury did with Wilder, whatever profile he built in the US with Wilder is not going to matter because the fight is not going to take place in the US.
Yeah, they're gonna have it outside of the US, man. Like there's like whether it's in MGM Grand Garden Arena or T-Mobile Arena or Staples Center or Madison Square Garden or anything like
Yeah.
that, they're not going to have the overall interest needed in order to have that undisputed title fight here in the States? Well, maybe in Madison Square Garden, that would be an outside chance because they would fill up Madison Square Garden, no problem. They would do it for that particular fight.
No,
But I'm like, why have it at Madison Square Garden though? You know what I mean?
there won't be no fans there. You're not going to see any sporting events with
With the
fans in New
large
York.
field, yeah,
I
New York
think
is going to
for
be
the
the
whole year.
last.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the whole year.
Yep. So, dang, man. So, you mean to tell me that the last big event over in New York City is going
Come
to
on,
be that Kaunaki fight?
come on, bruh. I didn't come on for this shit, man. I didn't come on for this shit. Come on, man. Listen. Yo.
Howard who?
Kaunaki. Hey, man, I know, man, but hey, that was just bad, man. That was just bad, yo.
Honestly,
Man.
I fled the arena. It was like a murder scene. I'm telling you. It was just me and a bunch of Polish people running out of the arena. It was horrible, man.
Here you go, Matt. This is for your Kawanaki. Flowers for you, man. All right.
Roses, man. Oh man.
Back.
Yeah, he'll be back, man. Oh, Matt, how about this topic from the past few days? Dylan White.
Yo.
So here's the thing, right? So Dylan White, made the claim, a couple weeks ago that they made an offer to Andy Ruiz in his camp for $5 million.
Okay. So you told him the truth so far. Okay.
And then Andy Ruiz said on Twitter, "You didn't make no offer of no $5 million. That's a lie." And then Dylan White gonna go on IFL TV and he tells Kugan Cassius, he's like, "Yo, some things weren't working. I got the email with Eddie Hearn, so I'm gonna post it." And then when he goes on Twitter and he posts it, it says the offer was for $4 million, and he didn't offer $5. And he said, hey, maybe if you would tell them that if they want $5, they will offer $5. But we never offered $5 million.
Yo,
but Dylan White is gonna post it like he's showing that he proved that they offered $5 million.
He told on himself. Yo, Dillian White gotta be not only the biggest fraud in boxing, he is one of the biggest idiots in boxing too. Like, first of all, how you ain't crop out Eddie message at the bottom? Like, what? Like, bro, first of all, the email said, and this is what people glossed over. The email said, as per our conversations, we're gonna up the offer to $4 million. So that means that $4 million wasn't even the introductory offer. They had to up it to $4 million. So how the hell did Dillian White get that we offered you, Andy Ruiz, $5 million? That's what I need to know.
Okay. So to follow up with that, right? So Kugan had talked with Eddie Hearn about this subject, and Eddie Hearn basically laid it out. He said, "Look, we were going to have a fight put together between Dylan White and Andy Ruiz Jr. We were going to try to have it over in the UK, and the offer, which is the initial offer that they sent out to Andy Ruiz, was too low for them, so they didn't accept the offer. So later on down the line, he said that the zone was going to be interested in having that particular fight in the U.S. And when they said that, they were going to add more to the offer to Ruiz, which was $4 million. And that is
Mm-hmm.
what Eddie Hearn offered Andy Ruiz and his manager, was $4 million. And then at the time, they basically nixed it. But they were going to up it to $5 million. But before it got up to $5 million, everything got nixed. So I'm trying to figure out how Dylan White basically got Ruiz was offered $5 million. And you know what the worst part is? He basically said it on that show with Eddie Hearn and what was it, Adam Smith.
Yeah.
And Eddie Hearn just let him go and run with it. He didn't correct him then. So he basically set him up. Like, how you gonna set up Dylan White like that? Yo, that was just bad, man. That was bad.
Honestly, that was one of my favorite stories of the week. I got to be honest, because anytime Dylan can get embarrassed, I am there for it. I'm definitely there for it. But the funny part to me was Eddie coaching them on how to negotiate publicly on social media. like that is not how fights get made. Now you
Yeah.
said that they made the offer to Andy Ruiz's manager. Let me ask you a question. Who is Andy Ruiz's manager?
Is it like his manager? I'm trying to figure. I forgot what the name was that Eddie Hearn mentioned.
Oh, I know the
There.
name that he mentioned, but it wasn't the
Mhm.
manager. Eddie
What?
Hearn sent the email to Tom Brown.
Oh yeah. He
Uh,
said it to Tom Brown, but there was another person that he did mention, not just Tom Brown. You know.
the email said Tom.
Yeah, the email said
Tom
Tom
ain't the
G Brown.
manager. Tom ain't the manager.
Well, isn't Ruiz still under the shadow of Heyman? Is he not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Heyman negotiates for Ruiz, not Tom Brown. Tom Brown is the promoter. We know that the PBC structure is that the manager does the deal, the promoter only promotes the fight, as it's supposed to be under the Muhammad Ali Act. So for Eddie Hearn to be reaching out to Tom instead of Al lets me know that they're not serious about the fight. And then what's the news that we just heard? That they rescheduled Alexander Povetkin versus Dillian White, and that's going to happen in July behind closed doors in the UK. So nobody is going to try to convince me that they were ever serious about fighting Andy Ruiz.
Well, according to your boy, they're gonna say that Andy Ruiz was gonna be never serious about fighting Dylan White either, because they had an opponent set up for Dylan White. But we know we know about what that was all about in reference to Andy Ruiz Jr.'s potential opponent. So that's for another thing there. Um, what about this? What was it? Was it early this week about the thing with Shakur Stevenson and Andre Ward and Eddie Hearn about Josh
Oh
Warrington
yeah,
fight?
yo. Eddie Hearn, all up in the videos, all up in the video. Eddie Hearn, yo. I gotta start calling Eddie Hearn White Diddy. This dude, yo.
Take that, take that. Bad
Oh
boy,
my
baby.
God. Yeah, that was crazy too. Because here's the thing about that. Once again, what did Eddie Hearn say? Oh, we made an offer that me and your promoter thought was a solid offer. Well, guess what, Eddie Hearn? In the United States of America, you don't go to the promoter, you go to the manager. And who was Shakur Stevens' manager? Andre fucking Ward. So if you're telling me Bob Arum's okay with it, yeah, because Bob Arum just wants his cut. He 88 years old. He just wants it all right now. Bob Arum looking to rake in hand over fist so he could be buried in his gold casket. Okay, so Andre Ward is the one that's supposed to be looking out for his fighter because he's the manager. So if
Yeah.
he doesn't believe the offer is a great offer, then it's not a great offer. And here's the funnier part. Here's the funnier part. The offer that Eddie was talking about wasn't even made by Eddie Hearn. It was made by Frank Warren before Warrington signed with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn wasn't even
Well,
part of anything. Like, come on, man.
well. Oh,
Listen, go fight Kanzu. All right, nobody can look. Go fight Kanzu. I'm tired of hearing Eddie Hearn since he has been trying to take over the United States. All he does is negotiate fights on Twitter. That is not how you get fights done. It's okay if you got two fighters going back and forth with each other. All right, that's great. But if you're the businessman, you're the guy hammering out the deals, I don't want to hear from you, well, let's make this offer on Twitter. And then you already know Eddie Hearn is going to say, because he's the king of this, oh, we've made an improved offer. He tried it with Charlo, and all you guys was backing him. You too, JR, because you hate Charlo. You're a Charlo hater. He tried it with Charlo. He did it with Wilder.
Hold on, Matt. You better go check those numbers, man. You better go check those numbers. You a damn lie. You better go check the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Eddie Hearn need to check his own damn numbers. Listen, Charlo was right. Eddie needs to check the numbers. Eddie Hearn has done nothing of consequence in the United States of America. I'm sorry to say. You know, I'm happy to take. Huh?
And then, but like you said, all in the video, running his mouth, causing all kind of even what you guys saw in regards to the Dylan White situation and Ruiz. That sounds just like a playbook straight out of Wilder Joshua back in the day. Sounds shit off, they call that, and it's just crazy.
Now, the whole thing about the Stevenson thing, though, Eddie Hearn said that both Frank and Eddie sent offers to the thing with Bob Arum. And the thing that Ward said was like, okay, I see what you mean about this whole thing with the offer, but we didn't like the offer, so we didn't accept the offer. And the problem is that Shakur Stevenson said, well, we didn't see any offer. We didn't see any offer. But Eddie Hearn was like, well, if there was no offer, then why is Andre Ward talking about the offer? So that kind of was a whole entire mess there with that. Shout out to EJ Boxing, watching right now. Thanks for the support. Looks like Matt might have to, take a call right there. But the other thing that I was going to bring up was the thing with Canelo and Golovkin. Jonathan Banks had like a reluctance to go forward with that particular fight as he trains Gennady Golovkin. He was, slated to have a fight against his IBF mandatory in the first part of the year before going up against Canelo, scheduled for September 12th over in Dallas. And now Oscar De La Hoya is like saying that they want to go ahead and try to, make that fight on September 12th over at AT&T Stadium. Oscar De La Hoya was like, we have to make a statement that, Golovkin Canelo has to happen. We have to show the world that we can make the big fights happen and that we are here to say boxing will always be boxing and will always survive, pandemic or not. So it's like the whole thing in reference to the money part is, kind of sketchy with that, so I don't know if that fight's going to happen on September 12th either because, come on, like AT&T Stadium, like they're trying to put in as many fans possible in that particular venue. for a fight of that magnitude, nah, I don't see it.
Well, I
You
tell
talking
you
about
what,
Canelo
this
versus
one
Triple
intrigues
G?
me. I want you guys to weigh in on this. So Canelo's with the zone. We know that. 5 years,
Uh-huh.
$365 million. Largest deal in boxing ever. We know that. How beholden is Canelo to conform to the desires of the zone and them wanting to do the third fight with Triple G, right? Now it obviously it looks like the zone doesn't have much position, but you would think they would because they signed Canelo. They gave him
Doesn't
all that
matter.
money, right? So you
Doesn't
would think
matter.
you're beholden to your promotional outfit to do what they want. But we already know that Canelo has already voiced on time and time. I don't want to fight with it's personal. He doesn't. I don't respect him. Things like that. Whatever. But at the same time, you do have to report to your employer. You do have to fulfill the wishes of your employer. So why is that Canelo has position to say I don't want a third fight when now at this point we've seen Canelo at 175, 168, 160, up and down, fighting all kind of whoever he wants to fight. Why doesn't he have the obligation to fight Triple G and get it over with? Why is
Ooh,
that?
hold on. Let me ask you two questions, Terrell. First of all, why the hell do you keep calling the zone Canelo's employer?
Matt,
They made a deal with him for him to bring content and subscribers to their network. So they work for him. He don't work for them. And also, why are you making it seem like Canelo doesn't want the third Triple G fight when it's Golovkin's team that turned down the third fight?
Who? Excuse me. is is Tom Loeffler still there with Golovkin?
Tom Loeffler, he's not Golovkin's promoter, but he is still there
Jay, can you hear him?
running.
Yeah,
He's running Triple G Promotions.
I can't hear him at all.
You can't hear me, JR?
I can hear you, but Terrell can't. That's
Oh,
weird.
Terrell can't hear me. Oh
Yes,
boy.
he got that Metro. That's why.
Nah, listen, I got T-Mobile. It's not great. It's not great, but it's not no Metro. I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, man. Hey,
I don't know why you can't hear me. I can hear you.
and here and the thing with Canelo, in reference to this particular fight with Gennady Golovkin, the zone pretty much is like I've said it before. They basically got fleeced in this deal because
No
you
Vaseline. No
you
Vaseline.
you have to commit this amount of money to Canelo, regardless of who he fights. So he can fight Joe Smo, and you still have to pull out at least an average of $30 million to fight. So now they're in this situation where they're like, oh, uh, you have this fight with Daniel Jacobs, and you have a fight with Sergey Kovalev, and you have a fight with Rocky Fielding, and that's not giving us the returns that we want for us, giving you this particular deal. So they're like, we want the biggest fight. Excuse me. He want the biggest fights possible there that they could try to make. And right now, at this particular juncture, the biggest fight possible is against Gennady Golovkin.
Is it
But
though?
I don't know. However, the thing with this particular fight is that the zone said, uh, um, we want you to fight Golovkin. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, if you fight Golovkin, this is what we'll do. We'll give you 40 million.
Exactly.
And they're trying to restructure the deal so that if they had to think as far as like the original schedule this year for Canelo, they would have had him fight Billy Joe Saunders, then fight Golovkin, and then fight Ryota Murata, right?
Yeah.
And the way that they had it planned was they could get whatever they get with the Billy Joe Saunders fight, but they're really banking on the Golovkin fight and the Murata fight because both of those fights are basically focused on markets within the zone.
Now, let me ask you a question. So these fighters signed to the zone, they all have guaranteed contracts.
Yep.
So why should these fighters care whether or not the fans show up to their fight? They're gonna be they're gonna be getting paid regardless. So if I'm Canelo, I'll fight behind closed doors, no problem. I'm getting
Yep.
my
You
35,
still got to
40
get the
million dollars
money.
anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
so what
Yep.
so to me, the zone is dropping the ball as usual. Because if there's any network that should be pushing for closed door fights, it's the zone. So what the hell does the zone care if one fan shows up or no fan shows up? The zone should be trying to secure these fights behind closed doors so that they can up their streaming. If people are at home and they can't get to the fight, guess what? They're gonna fucking try to find a way to watch it. There's a reason why Trolls made $100 million at on video on demand when it only made like $50 million for 5 weeks in the movie theaters. Because people are starving for content. They're at home, they're bored, they're sick of looking at their significant others. I'm sick of looking at my cat. I need content. I do. I need content. So why isn't the zone pushing for these closed door fights just to get these fights on their networks and up their subscriptions? It makes no sense.
Well, I mean, I guess they have to, see how things are handled in specific, locations if they can have those closed door events. But, like they were talking about with Bob Arum, trying to see if they could have fights over in Florida or in Orlando, like the WWE has with their stuff. Then,
Yep.
the people that are, have their fighters that, fight on the zone, put them in there in a closed circuit, thing. Like for example, they could have a fight for the super middleweight championship between Callum Smith and Daniel Jacobs. They could at least do that. Since they didn't have anything for Callum Smith, why not have him fight Daniel Jacobs?
Jacobs don't want that fight.
He's gonna. Hey, he said
Ja-
he's calling for a title fight, man. He don't want to fight no Gabe Rosado, man. He don't want to fight Gabe Rosado.
yes, he does. He said he wants to fight Gabe Rosado. So until further notice, I don't want to hear shit about Danny Jacobs. This man is talking about fighting Gabe Rosado
Who?
like he just didn't have Danny Jacobs. Like he didn't just have a takeover fight against Julio Cesar Chavez. I don't want to hear from Danny Jacobs until he's ready to step in there with a live body. And Gabe Rosado does not fit the bill.
Yeah, that would be a huge disappointment for him to challenge himself, going to a high division and say, "I want to fight Gabe Rosado, who's a warrior." We know that, but Rosado has what 12 losses, something like that. You know,
Not only
so that
that,
would be
nobody cares about Gabe Rosado.
Somebody,
Who cares about Gabe
yeah, he's not.
Rosado?
exactly. He's nothing more than
Maybe
a
people in
gatekeeper.
Philadelphia do or something, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Man, Andre Rozier is rolling over in his grave right now, man. This is crazy. This is crazy, man.
He had that talk with those other traders with Freddie Roach and Robert Garcia the other day. They were talking about this whole thing with fights that are in closed doors and those that can't fight at all. Like how the lower tier fighters going to be able to make their money if they don't have something on the side. So that's another issue that has come up as far as like no fights happening is those lower tier guys. If this is all they got, then what can they do? You know.
Well, listening to Steven Espinosa, his assumption is that fight cards are going to be smaller, maybe 5 fights total on a fight card going forward, and promoters are just going to have to be more creative about how they're going to generate revenue. You're not going to get it from ticket sales anymore. You can't look at ticket sales. And that might be good for Bob Arum
Yeah.
and Eddie Hearn, because it's not like they were generating ticket sales that much in the US anyway. 80,000 in ticket sales. So that's not going to hurt him too much. What I
Mhm.
think they should do is kick it old school, do smaller pay-per-views. Like they used to have integrated sports pay-per-views where you might have a pay-per-view for like $20, something like that. Maybe you could do a little super card with a bunch of lower tier guys for $10, $20. But like I said, this is where the zone should be filling the void. I don't understand what the zone is doing. Like the zone should be scooping up any of these mid-card fighters and putting on content, because they're still charging people $19.99 a month. People deals where they can't even pause it. They don't get no for the pandemic stuff. So the zone needs to do right by the consumer and get some damn content.
Well, that's part of the reason why they want to host Canelo Triple G. To hope, and they're bending on the fact that one fight is going to turn on subscribers, which is not really the case, because at this point, they probably have so many diverse subscribers, and I would say probably a small percentage of their subscribers only care for boxing. So the Triple G Canelo fight is not going to add subscriptions or keep people renewing in that regard. So, like you just said, Matt, they need to start be creative and find ways to add cards. Would it be like the casino stuff, like typical fights we see at casinos, things like that, to get those on and consolidate those and give us a new product in that sense.
Yeah, well, let me be the first to say that I will get the zone again if they make the Triple G Canelo fight, because I am dying to see Canelo send Triple G straight to hell with a nice right hand. So I will buy to watch that fight.
just to
I
see,
can't
yep,
wait for
just to
that.
see Golovkin
Yeah.
get knocked out,
Oh yeah.
and it will be at
Oh yeah.
what, a catch weight of what, 164. So that's the thing,
If
and
I'm
that's
Canelo,
funny.
Golovkin got to meet me at 168. If I'm Canelo, Golovkin got to
Yeah,
meet me at 168. I'm not
yep,
coming back down, because Canelo has shown that he will go up and down, up and he came down to fight Floyd.
yeah.
He went back up to 154. He fought at 160. He fought at 168. He
He
fought at 175.
175.
Listen,
Yeah,
Canelo
yeah. He
Canelo
should
has
do a
earned the right
168
to
because
fight at whatever height he wants. Yeah, 168.
because 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 the last fight he was at 174.5 pounds before fighting, uh, Sergey Kovalev. So I'm like, man, yeah, you fight me at 168, or I would have, tried to trap him and say, uh, how much do I have to pay if I come in overweight against Golovkin in the weigh-in? I'll be like, screw it, just pay that now. Just pay this behind, regardless, man. Yeah, but yeah, like you said, I mean, the demand for live content at this particular point is, at a very high level. And knowing that at the very least, you had a card over in Nicaragua that Chocolatito was able to attend in a mask. If they could pull it off and they were able to do it, then you could do it in these, other, venues out there. Like, come on, like there's got to be some place that you could put it. Like, go to Sweden or something. Like, God damn, like go to Sweden,
Exactly.
Nicaragua, or anywhere where their restrictions are much less than here in America, because it's going to be a good amount of time before it comes down in America. I mean, like I was saying before, yeah, you having people going out beaches over in Florida and Georgia and that type of stuff, but after these next couple weeks, I really don't see these states really, kind of coming down as far as like, having more people go out. So
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
My question is, when are international fighters even going to be allowed to fly
allowed
into
to fly
America
over.
to fight?
Yep, yep. That's gonna be the whole problem too, as far as like international flights are concerned. Like that stuff isn't gonna open anytime soon. Like I don't see that happening until July at best. July at best. So
Yeah.
if you know that's the case, then how are you going to have fights of the magnitude like the White Pavekin fight or what is it, Usyk versus Chisora or something like that? Like, how are you gonna have fights like that if these fighters or people can't even fly internationally yet? That won't be able to, take place. So for the time being, all you could do now is local fights between guys that are in the States or in the UK or whatever until those restrictions get lifted. Until then, you don't have nothing. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's what I got, up here so far, man. I'll have the live podcast Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. I think
Oh,
Terrell and
good.
Matt.
Because I want to talk to you about Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, Lomachenko talking about who is that guy? Oh, well, you know who that guy
Yeah,
is, and
yeah.
now that
Now
you
he
know who
know,
that
right?
guy
Yeah,
is,
now he know. Now he know. Now he need the tune up. Now he needs the tune
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yo, Corona callouts. That's what I'm gonna start calling this shit. Corona callouts.
Hey,
These
Terrell,
motherfuckers
you
ain't
missed
serious.
it.
They not serious.
Hey, you remember Terrell had that Corona talking about Devin Haney? He had a Corona call out. Yo, yeah, that
Hey,
was
so
funny,
He's
Matt,
that
like,
man.
real quick, let's go back to that topic we talked about at the top of the show. Wouldn't it be more beneficial for Wilder to sit out and take the step aside money, get his surgery, heal up, and just survey the landscape and just rest up? That
no,
wouldn't be beneficial to you? And
no,
and they per se
no.
guarantee to fight the winner. He's a guaranteed to fight the winner.
Let me ask you a question. Do you trust Tyson Fury?
No, of course not. Of course not. Look who he's represented by. So that's a no. No,
Exactly.
anything happen about
Exactly. Exactly.
because
Oh
the
man,
thing about what's funny, Wilder is contractually obligated to a rematch. He has already voiced the fact that he wants the rematch. But all of a sudden now you got this so-called talk out there of negotiations, which I think is just simply a filler to fill both sides from the Wilder side and the Puliev side, just kind of try to get them used to it, and also at the same time create a public demand for a unified champion. Because as we all know, despite the contract,
If
if the public
Deontay
demand,
Wilder steps aside, he will never get that opportunity again. He would get frozen out. Tyson Fury is going to retire, ride off into the sunset. You already know. Dillian White is
yeah,
due. His man Usyk is due the WBO shot. There will be no path to a direct title shot for Deontay Wilder, no matter what these guys try to say with the contract. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen.
I mean,
yeah.
like I said, for me, Wilder would get at least to step aside. You gave me $10 million, I'll step aside, sure, no problem, and guaranteed to fight the winner, whoever that may be. But like I said, Fury could just go and get a win and retire, and wow, Wilder be left in the dark.
Yeah,
But
but
guys, speak to the fact that Wilder has suggested himself that he might be trying to get up out of here. So I mean, it could be trying to get his last payday and then retire too. That could be the case too.
I mean, what is he
I
about
don't
to
see
turn
it. I think
35 in
Wilder
October?
got but he got a good 3 years left in him. I think he got a good 3-year run left in him. I think you're going to see the best of Deontay Wilder going forward, and he got a good 3 years left. You know, he's out there clearing his mind. He's talking to the OGs. He's talking to George Foreman.
He
You
said he
know,
wants to get rid of all the snakes.
yeah, as he should. He needs to start with Shelly Finkel. Um, I think what Wilder needs is he needs to take Floyd Mayweather up on his offer, reach out to him, and see what Floyd could show him. But Deontay Wilder has big fights ahead of him because it's not just Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua that Deontay Wilder is going to have a chance to fight. I think Deontay Wilder in 2021 is going to have an all-time mega fight with a certain fighter from Brooklyn, New York, that has hinted
Uh,
that has hinted that he is
ooh.
coming back. That he is coming back to boxing. Hey, listen, JR, listen, this is Mystic Matt talking to you. This is Mystic Matt. I'm telling you. Listen, that man out there.
Oh, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something.
That
Let me tell you
man,
something, Matt.
listen, he might
Let
be
me tell you
53
something,
years
Matt.
old.
Let me tell you something, Matt. I'm telling you right now, Deontay Wilder has no chance against me. Okay, I'll be able to batter him. Okay, I'm gonna go on the inside and I'm gonna batter his body up. I'm gonna make him. I'm gonna make him mush. Okay, I'm the champ. I'm the real champ. Okay, he doesn't have any chance against me. All right. Oh, hey, when you were talking about that, I was thinking of somebody else, and then my boy Red Glove, man, he said CVS Miller. Talking about Brooklyn, man had CVS, Walgreens, Dwayne Reed, all of that up in his system, man. Hey, I don't know, man. Yo, Miller, man. I don't know about Miller, man, because I mean he's been talking a lot, and I really don't know what they're really gonna do with Jarrell Miller at Top Rank. I really don't. I mean, they got a good amount of fighters in there, but who are they going to match up Jarrell Miller against once these things pick back up? You know, because while he did have his whole little thing last year, he's still undefeated. So we got to see like where he is at this particular point.
We'll see.
You know, so
We shall see.
Still undefeated, but it feels like he already got a big loss. You got to admit that. Undefeated, but at this
Now,
point, who cares? Because after how he did, it's almost like he got a loss already. But like I say, he can't do nothing but just get back in line, fight a bunch of cats, and climb his way back to the top. So it really doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter who he's fighting. I just want to send him in the ring and fight somebody, right?
yeah,
So that way we can judge him from his skill set, his power, things like that. I mean, but really, he's going to need to reel up at least 5 victories, right? From journeymans, and build his way back into fighting people in that top 10. Someone like a Maurice Wak, the guy that beat Wanaki or whatever, people like that. He need to beat
yeah.
those type of names in succession, impressive fashion. Once again, to heal this
Hold on,
his
Terrell, you still there?
and
Oh yeah, you back with me? Yeah, you got me.
yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, what you were saying?
Yeah, but I said for Miller, he just going to need to build his brand by run up like 5 victories from start off small, and then and he's going to need to win impressively, and build his image and build his brand. That's the only way he's going to be able to get a title shot again within the next 2 to 3 years. And it's kind of funny because Miller's 29 years old, so he's not done. He can do it, but he just needs to do it in a certain fashion buy it onto the public, heal his brand, and like I said, and start winning back into the top 10. That's the only way he gets a title shot.
Yeah, I mean, he's had his apology-filled tour for it's been almost a year now, and so now he has to get himself back to the point where he could be just able to be in the ring against an opponent where he'd I would say be cleared to fight against. Because I mean, even though they had the whole thing with the being caught in this suspension, it's like they only did it for basically 90 days or so. So that's kind of the whole deal with that. He's going to be 32 actually this year in
Okay.
July. So
Okay.
so that's the thing with him. He's going to be he had 32, but he it's not like he has had an extensive career in pro boxing. He's been in kickboxing and Muay Thai and all of that, but he really hasn't had much of a career in pro boxing, so to speak. So he's still got a good few years left where he could do his thing. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's what I got, so far, man. Thanks, Terrell, for joining in, and thanks for Matt for joining in, and everyone that's watched the live telecast here. We're gonna have the Boxing Source radio show live Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and then you'll be able to catch it also on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Once that live show is done. But until then, I'll catch y'all later, man. Peace out.